Hello, 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 and welcome to Empowered Movements. I am Darlene A Anderson, entrepreneur, motivational speaker, personal and professional development consultant, author, and to many of you, your self-direction broker in the state of New York under the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. Welcome. If you are joining us for the very first time, I appreciate your viewership. I am so happy that you landed on our page. If you are a returning viewer, I appreciate you just the same. I'm excited to have you back, and I hope that you will continue to return. We are standing in June 1st of 2026, family. June 1st. Now, if you visit any other time, that's fine, but today is June 1st, and I'm excited because today is the launch. It's the kickoff, so to speak. It's the first day of the month as we bring in Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month. Now, I'm excited about this month because I experienced this kind of secondhand. If you have visited the page prior and you checked out some previous episodes, then you know I've shared that my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. She had Alzheimer's around a decade or so ago. She was diagnosed and she passed away in 2024. However, my family and I, as I said, a decade or so, experienced what that was like as her caregivers from the time of her diagnosis to her transition. Now, I'm sharing this because, of course, sharing is caring, and we should be having these conversations in our homes, in our schools, with our friends, in our churches, everywhere that we can bring about awareness of how to have healthy brains. But I also want to just kind of speak to how I'm very conscientious of the fact that I'm sharing my mother's experiences, right? Now, when it comes to HIPAA, because my mother has transitioned, I'm not violating her HIPAA rights. Now, if my mother was alive, she would be like, you can go out and talk about me. Can I come and speak to the people too? And I'd be like, Ma, you cannot speak to the people. Okay, tell them I said. But I wouldn't have her come out and speak to the people. Now, if my mother was still with us, then I wouldn't have the right to share this information because it would be her personal information, and that would be a violation to her HIPAA rights. But again, because she has transitioned as her eldest daughter that's coming out and sharing information, I am well within my right to do so. Now, if my mother wasn't diagnosed with Alzheimer's and she gave permission, then I could still come out and talk. But once my mother, and this is just something for you guys to know if you do not know, and you can share with others who may not know, once my mother was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, then her signatures or consent to things, it wouldn't hold validity. It would be kind of skewed, so to speak, because she would not be in her right state of mind of person, place, and time. And that would kind of be taking advantage of her. So I would not, if she was still with us, be talking about this. But again, because she's passed, and I would not be talking about it because I wouldn't be able to get her consent because of her diagnosis and when she was diagnosed. But again, because she has passed, this now becomes my business as well, and something that I can share as her primary provider and eldest daughter. Okay, now that I got all of that out of the way, my mom was actually diagnosed around 2016, 2017, and it was very, very progressive. It was a result of mismanaged medication of her high blood pressure and her diabetes, or no management whatsoever, because she hadn't been taking it. Now, my mom had been a caregiver to her children and her husband for many, many years. She was an amazing caregiver as it related to ensuring that we were taken care of, and even for herself to a degree. But there was a period in my mother's life where she stopped taking her blood pressure medication for her, of course, her high blood pressure, and her medication for her diabetes. And as a result of that, she had what was considered vascular dementia. That's when you kind of have a hemorrhage in your brain. It's kind of like a stroke, and it affects your mobility, your ability to walk. It affects your speech. It affects your consciousness. My mother was not really conscious of person, place, and time throughout that 10-year span, and it actually regressed to the point where she needed 24/7 care, where we had to make sure at that point she was taking her medication. I had to do her pill box for her to make sure she had her medication. My siblings and I had to make sure she had her food. We got her support when we weren't able to be there for her, making sure she got to her appointments, because from that point until her transition, she could not be alone. She was not, as I stated, conscious of person, place, and time. At the time of her death, my mom was calling me her mother. Like, she called me mommy. She wasn't conscious. It was kind of like a disconnect on those things, that was a result of the hemorrhage, which was permanent. Alzheimer's is the disease, right? Whereas dementia is a state of being. So unfortunately, that hemorrhage that left permanent deterioration to her brain. And I share that to really speak to how we don't take care of ourselves when we know that we have certain conditions. Even for myself, when I met with my doctor back in 2020, a new doctor, he told me out the gate, as you know, the kids say, you need to be on high blood pressure medication. And it was a new doctor, and I was a bit offended. And he explained to me, he said, you're overweight, you have a very, very stressful job, and you're not working out the way you should, and you're eating okay, but you could eat better. I need for you to be on this medication because I'm fearful for you. And once you start losing weight and once you start eating better, and consider changing your job, which that didn't happen, right? We can talk about reducing the medication and ultimately coming off. And it was a hard decision to make, but I opted to get on the medication. Now, that first medication that he suggested, it didn't work for me. And I wound up having to get another pill that did work for me. And honestly, to this day, I'm still on high blood pressure medication because I'm not at my goal weight. I still have a lot of stress in my life, and I don't get a chance to work out the way that I want. And I like my lemon pepper wings from time to time. But I am working towards coming off of the medication, but it is a process. But until I get to that goal weight, then I will take my pill every day, drink a lot of water, I walk a lot, I make sure that I'm eating for the most part good. Again, I like my lemon pepper wings, but it's a process. But I know that not taking the medication makes me more susceptible to a stroke, a heart attack, a whole bunch of other things that I would not want to leave my family and have them deal with the loss for something that I could have prevented. And that's pretty much what I wanted to arrive to in this message today, is that oftentimes I see this a lot with parents. What parents will say, I know I have high blood pressure, but my feet aren't swollen. I don't sweat a lot. I don't get headaches. I'm fine. I don't want to take medication because I don't like the way it makes me feel. I understand that. But again, going back to the video from the other day, like last week, what happens when you're not there and your loved ones are left behind? In this type of situation, if you know that you have high blood pressure and you're not working towards losing weight, eating better, just taking medication or something, then what you're saying is that I'll take my chances. It's the same with diabetes. It's the same with being obese. It's so many different things that we don't look at that can ultimately affect our brains. I said, leaving, like that's the ultimate that could happen, but it could result to something when I shared with my mom, where you are going into a stage in your life where you have Alzheimer's, you are demented. Strokes don't always just mean, losing mobility in a hand or a foot. That does entail speech. It does entail your brain. So these type of things we should take a little bit more seriously. I've shared my mother's experience as well as mine as it relates to high blood pressure, for my mom, Alzheimer's and diabetes, for the purpose of, with the hope of more conversations being had in your homes, as I mentioned, in your churches, with your peers, with your friends, that we're just talking more about healthy brains. Healthy brains are results of better choices. And it looks different for different people. It can be medication management. It can be healthier eating. It can be exercise. It can be a sleep apnea mask for some people. It can just be asking more questions about things that you should be doing to prepare. It can just be talking to your doctor about your body from top to bottom, inside and out. Just ensure that you're doing something, because we all want to be able to be 100 years old, right? 100. I see these people, they're like 110, 115, full faculties, going to parties, riding their cars. I saw one lady, she just got her license renewed, and she was over 100. And I said, I want that to be me. I want to be like 150 and say, my name is Darlene A Anderson. I'm a motivational speaker, author, personal and professional development consultant. And to many of you, you're a self-direction broker in the state of New York under the Office of People with Developmental Disabilities. But that requires some good work. That requires some good self-care. And in this month, please take a moment to ensure that you are checking the boxes, that your brain is healthy, and you're working towards preventative measures to keep it that way. If you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. I ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and click that notification bell so you will be in the know of the latest happenings as they are being uploaded. Until next time, continue to make your empowered movements.